Some big moves in the offseason here, getting ready for week one, including Luke Goedeke, big contract, and maybe a lesson learned from development. More on Texans running backs, one jersey quarterbacks. Are they no more? And a whole lot more as we get ready for week one in this week's Peacock and Williamson Mailbag.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. It's time to get this first week one mailbag going here as the season is upon us, kicking off Thursday night. So we are here and we're going to have a lot of fun breaking down this NFL season with you. So come along for the ride. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All right. Open up this mailbag. We talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in our six-pack yesterday. They are taking on the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South there, which is a really good game for week one that I can't wait for, that I'm excited about. But we have a question here which interests me from Rich. And he says, Luke,
BP, can I interrupt you super quick? There's one thing I said yesterday I wanted to correct.
Okay.
So we picked the Chiefs at Chargers game, and I kind of gave the Chargers fan a hard time for, I'm like thinking, oh, there's going to be tons of Chiefs fans there. I didn't realize till today it's in Brazil. So a little interesting nugget. I'm still sticking with my Chiefs pick, but the game is in Brazil.
The early season Friday game, and not only is it a Friday game, it's also in another country game. Like that's
far away.
Sneaks up on you, right?
Yeah. So I don't know what the fans will look like, but I'm still taking the Chiefs. I can't say the Chargers have a big home field advantage.
Right. Yeah. It won't be a Chiefs home field advantage, though. It'll be a very interesting one. To be honest with you, there's probably a lot of 49ers fans, a lot of Cowboys fans, probably a lot of Patriots fans from a lot of winning they've done in their most recent dynasty. Probably a lot of Steelers fans, right? The popular teams will be popular in other countries.
Yeah, I know Steelers are huge in Mexico, right?
Yeah. Anyway, the Goedeke deal here is interesting.
Yeah.
And Rich says he got moved inside to guard his rookie year and was terrible. Second year, put back at right tackle, and now fast forward a couple years, signs a $90 million extension, $22.5 million, I think it is, per year on a 4-year contract. Do teams need to give these short arm tackles more opportunity to play tackle first in the NFL? College tackles that maybe are short armed, should they stay at tackle? Should teams give these guys a shot, Matt?
Goedeke aside, I do find it funny that, and I'm guilty of this, I mean, all draft analysts are, he's a tackle, we'll just move him to guard, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, you deal with different body types at guard than you do at tackle, and you still have to be powerful. And this listener's right. I mean, Goedeke was terrible at guard, and he's the reason Wirfs went from right tackle to left, so Goedeke could stay at right where he's comfortable, and Wirfs didn't miss a beat because he's unbelievable. I don't know. I think there's a case for it, though. Should the short arm tackles be given more of a shot? Maybe, but I'm also sitting here thinking that the guys they're blocking, the true edge defenders, are getting longer and longer. You know what I mean? These guys have crazy long wingspans and arms that I think it's as important as ever, the length.
I think we should not change everything we know about football because of an outlier is probably the way I would go.
Yeah.
I like that they gave him a shot to stick. And it's also, I think it, and we do this a lot, and you just talked about it, just because you were a tackle means in your short arm, you're going to be an awesome guard, or just because you are an undersized defensive tackle, that means you're going to have this huge advantage. You're going to be a great pass rusher in the NFL. We see a lot of guys who are versatile and can play a lot of positions in the NFL. We see a lot of guys who tweeners that aren't good at either position.
Yeah.
And luckily for the Bucks, it turned out that he was able to play tackle. It's been a good tackle and earn a lot of money. But we've seen that the 49ers did the same thing with Colton McKivitz. He was a tackle in college. They drafted him to be a guard. He was terrible at guard. They actually cut him. And now he's been a starting offensive tackle. He's going to make, I don't know how much, $20 million when he's a free agent next offseason, probably, because that's what starting
tackles make $20 million now. Yeah.
You look at his combine, you're like, ooh, that doesn't look like an offensive tackle. And I think most times you're right. But for him, it worked out. And so,
things happen a lot quicker on the interior.
It's different. I talk about it. Yeah, exactly. I talk about it like boxing, like Mike Tyson. He was undersized versus a lot of, heavyweights that he boxed against, but he got inside and it was amazing how he could operate where it was almost too close quarters for a bigger man because they couldn't keep him away.
They couldn't keep him away, right?
With their reach, where they had the natural advantage. And you saw Buster Douglas, hit him a bunch of times and utilize that advantage. But rarely did that happen for Mike Tyson. He got in your kitchen and then he could operate where you couldn't. So that said, just like, where's a player good? Figure it out. And that's part of development. I think that's the lesson to be learned here is development isn't super easy. And there are going to be outliers, but you shouldn't be drafting the outliers either.
Maybe the lesson is don't think you have it right. You draft the tackle, you move him to guard. Well, let's move him back to tackle. Don't have the hubris to say we were wrong, and maybe move him back.
Yes. And if a guy's comfortable and plays better in a spot, play him there maybe.
Yeah. And maybe ask him, like, where do you like to play?
Well, they're going to all say tackle. So I don't know if that'll
pays better.
Right. Yeah. How about the Texans running backs? I have an easy answer for this one. And I would assume.
I know your answer.
I would assume Michael, who's a frequent listener of the show, might know my answer too. But he says, you guys are high on the Texans, but who's their running back going to be? Vibes seem bad for Mixon when he's back, if ever. And Chubb and Pierce ain't it anymore. Texans, to me, have one of the biggest question marks remaining. What do you think?
Well, one thing I want to get out there. Well, first of all, I think Chubb looks shot, and I don't think he's going to be good ever again. They also have Woody Marks that they're excited about.
They drafted him in the fourth round. Round, he was running back with a pass play. It has me intrigued, and probably
let's not discount him.
Yeah,
and Pierce, I loved as a rookie. But then they went to much more zone stuff, and he's not a zone runner. And from what I understand, they're going to run more power and man. But I'm going to steal your answer. I don't really care. The answer is this isn't that big a problem for me to say that they're not good or.
I don't know how shot Chubb is or how much better Pierce is going to look now. They've had a ton of chances to get rid of Pierce, so they must like him enough. And I think clearly they went to that wide zone, and it didn't quite work out for Pierce. They still have. Everyone runs everything now in the NFL, though. And they brought over who's it, Caley, right? From who's the pass game coordinator from the Rams. So they're still in that Mick Shanahan, McVay's different than Shanahan, but still in that same sort of universe offensively. So it's not that much different. But a lot of teams that happens, they're like, well, we're not good at this. We're not good at the zone, so we're going to try to do more gap. It's like, and so every team needs to be good at everything at this point, and kind of everybody runs a little bit of everything because it's easy to stop if you know what's coming. We've seen that same idea with the 49ers trying to get bigger on the offensive line, trying to not rely so much on just the wide zone stuff because teams are getting better at stopping it. That said, whether it's Woody Marks or Chubb, I don't know if he's done. Just running backs don't matter enough. I mean, it's
somebody will be fine.
It's all about the offensive line is what you want to have a good running back. Don't get me wrong, but if the offensive line is good, they'll be fine. They'll run 4 yards per carry, and it's all about Stroud.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they were like the worst first down rushing team you've ever seen last year. I assume it'll be a little better.
You would hope, and if it's not, then it'll be tough because it's an offensive line problem more than a running back problem, in my opinion. Could they hit the trade market for a running back? Yeah, I think they probably could.
Could Breece Hall end up there? Maybe.
I think the vibe is they think Mixon's going to be back and fine sooner than we all believe.
Okay.
That's the way they act, at least.
Yeah.
Right.
That's possible.
Woody Marks, though, is interesting for your fantasy football teams. I will say that.
1,000%. Yeah. Might take him a week or two, but.
Next, let's talk about the Chargers. And we talked about that game in Brazil. Let's talk a little bit more about Jim Harbaugh, what to expect from these Chargers. And is the era of one jersey quarterbacks really one jersey players almost over with how much movement there is in sports. We'll get to those topics next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. This is who delivered when it mattered most. And since there was no NFL games last week, we could talk about the college the college landscape. We could talk about Matt Patricia, former NFL guy, right? And doing a good job against Arch Manning in Texas in week 1 of the college football season. But you know who delivered in the NFL in a big way? Brian Gutekunst, GM of the Green Bay Packers. When the pressure was on, he came through for the Packers, no hesitation, no delay, and brought in a superstar player for the Packers this season. And if you've been, paying attention, it was a big performance and a really interesting team build going on over there. They needed a star player. They got themselves a star player. And so just like Brian Gutekunst and delivering for the Green Bay Packers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Okay, taking a look at the Peacock and Williamson mailbag here. Good question about one jersey quarterbacks. Is the era for one jersey guys over? I mean, in the NBA, it's for sure over, I feel like, although there's still a couple guys hanging around. Steph Curry still hasn't gone anywhere yet. Is he going to end up playing somewhere else? I don't know, but Steel Bleeder asked this question. Is the time of one jersey player for quarterbacks over? The last great one will probably be Big Ben, he says. When even Tom Brady changes teams late in his career, it's hard to see anyone sticking with one team anymore. Looking forward to the Steelers signing Mahomes and Josh Allen in 2035. Okay, that's where the angle is.
It's kind of funny, right?
Hey, if you told a Steelers fan 3-4 years ago that Aaron Rodgers would finish his career in Pittsburgh,
yeah, and Russell Wilson, and
right, yeah,
exactly right. It's kind of been their move. I don't know what to think of this. You would think, and Josh Allen will be a Bill as long as he wants, and so will Mahomes and Lamar, and the contracts they sign indicate that. I mean, Mahomes signed that 10-year deal way back when. But he's right. It's hard to come up with many recent examples. I mean, Peyton Manning, Favre, Rodgers is now on his 3rd team in 3 years or 4 years. And, Brady's the best example ever. I mean, the most successful quarterback ever goes somewhere else and has a great little stint, as did Peyton Manning. I don't know what to think of it. I mean, I was sitting here thinking, remember when Washington signed Bruce Smith and Dion and Hainsworth, and they were all shot, Yeah. It was just terrible decision by one franchise going to getting big names.
What a great era of winning the offseason that was.
Yeah. But these guys, I guess Rodgers is to be determined, have been very useful with their new stops. And several of them have won Super Bowls, So I don't know what to think of it, to be very honest with you.
It's not quite the NBA, but there is more of a path for players to move on that are superstars and especially quarterbacks. So we haven't traditionally seen that. But there's also been good reasons that they were allowed to leave. Like
Peyton Manning's neck
for Rodgers is kind of what a lot of people thought was going to happen with Brady, who was even older at the time when he moved on. And
it was similar to what happened to Favre. They drafted a first rounder breathing down your neck, or kind of Montana. They had a guy breathing down your neck.
Favre won some games late. He also had some games where he's just turning the ball over like crazy. And you're like, come on, man, what are we doing here? Let's hang it up. So I mean, let me put it this way: if Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes is playing for the Steelers, it's because they looked washed enough that their teams didn't care to lose him anymore. I think that's probably the way to put it right now.
Like the Manning thing's so weird because he has a neck injury, the end of the worst team in the league, and the best quarterback prospect we've ever seen comes out. So it's like, sorry, Peyton. They
probably would have still kept Peyton if it wasn't for the Andrew Luck draft too.
Yeah, if it's if that's the Myles Garrett draft, you take Myles Garrett and you know what I mean, and not take the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally agree.
Maybe it's case by case. I mean, Green Bay is screwing this thing up a little bit with their first round. If they take a quarterback in the first round 5 years from now, we can say the same thing about Jordan Love. You know, maybe. I just have a hard time believing Mahomes, Allen, Lamar are going to be elsewhere.
It's hard to envision that right now. Too valuable.
I don't know that it's a trend.
And it would have to be like, okay, you look pretty washed and the team's trying to go in another direction and you also want out. Like how many times does a guy play till he's 45 too? And so I don't think Brady's a really good example of that because his career was so insane and so long.
Like I could see Burrow moving.
Yeah, just him getting second.
Yeah.
Like how do you move? Like you're also like Trey Hendrickson would be in another city right now if he could. Like you're
yeah.
And then you get tagged. It's hard to get out even if you want to.
Parsons got traded 2 days ago. You know, right?
Yeah.
I could see, I guess, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. 8 years from now, 5 years from now, they're a tier 2 or a tier 3 Sando player, and they end up with the 10th pick in the draft that year. They're not in every AFC championship game, and you draft a kid, you know, a 34-year-old Mahomes. They have the 10th pick in the draft, and you take the second quarterback off, and then if he's really good, Mahomes won't be there much longer, just as Alex Smith wasn't, you know.
Gosh, a lot has to happen. That's hard to even put my mind in that space.
Right.
But yeah, that's the way it would go.
That's a weird choose your own adventure to sell, you know.
Yeah, like ask a Chiefs fan what would have to happen? What would be the path to Mahomes not being on your roster anymore? Well, old and bad, and we have a better player.
I mean, if like Lamar or Allen lost their ability to really influence games with their legs,
right?
They still would be really good quarterbacks, though.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they could turn into Stafford. I mean, they're so good from the pocket now. They've gotten past that where they have to be ultra athletic.
Stafford is a good one, too, because finally it ended in Detroit, but they could never build anything around him. And then when it came to the Rams were flirting with the idea. But then in the end, the Rams were like, God, he's still so much better than anything else we could get. We got to figure this out and at least go one more year.
I mean, I'm even sitting here thinking, like, Eli didn't change teams, but they moved away from him at the end. I mean, if somebody wanted to pick him up, and
that was the weird like start streak, right? And then they put him back in. What a weird time at the end of his career.
And along those lines, like Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers, 90% of everything you remember is all from one team, and then they stuck around probably 1 year too long, you know. And the Colts were like, "We'll take you both."
Right. They still haven't figured it out in Indy too. So. Yeah. Michael says Harbaugh went to 3 championship games with the 49ers. You both have somewhat been selling on the Chargers. Were those 49ers teams that much more talented than this Chargers beyond quarterback? I don't think we've been down on the Chargers, have we?
I think I'm a little below consensus. I think they're a borderline playoff team, and I didn't have them go when I picked my AFC teams. Oh, no, I did. I changed my mind at the end. I put them in over the Jags.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I still think they're third in that division for me. If that's down on them, so be it.
They're in a tough division, and the other teams have better rosters. I'm high on Harbaugh. Harbaugh came in and made them relevant. I'm super high on Harbaugh and the Chargers, to be honest with you. I think they're just not done building the rest of that roster, and I think the roster isn't as good that he inherited as it was quarterback aside with the 49ers.
That's what I was going to say. From what I remember, those Niner teams, I would take those 52 other than these 52 quarterback aside. And Kaepernick was hard to play against. Yeah,
but they drafted him and developed him, and that was when teams weren't running the pistol and didn't have running quarterbacks, so that was at least hard for teams for a while, and he made it
gimmicky for the time and hard to play against, you know, right?
I think I'd probably go the other way and think that the Chargers surprised people more so than the other way.
Last year, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because the team he inherited, they had to cut like Allen and Mike Williams, and they didn't have any cap space. They didn't add anything in free agency. I thought they kind of outkicked their coverage in year one.
Is the first 4 weeks of the regular season actually just kind of extended preseason? And more questions in the week 1 Peacock and Williamson mailbag next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. And can I tell you a minute about my Mazda? I've had a CX-5 since 2016. Man, we're talking 175,000 miles on this thing. It has been my everydayer, and it has held up phenomenally. It drives just like it did the day I got it, and it drove better than everything else I test drove from a lot of other places too. So I'm a Mazda guy, and these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. So when we're talking about who those players are this season, I think it's all about hope right now as we head into the season. We could talk about preseason superstars, right? But right now, moving the game forward is hope and what every team hopes that their team could be. And man, if you're a fan, you should hope that your team turns out as good as my Mazda has and have a kind of, I'm talking about a dynastic run since 2016 for my Mazda. And so we're talking about hope, and you hope that you can have that for your NFL team right now, going for it when the game is on the line, right? When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every game, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
Your Mazda is a one jersey guy.
My Mazda is a one jersey guy. I drive it until it stops driving, but I don't think it's going to quit. Like we're heading into Tom Brady in his 40s right now, and he's got another championship under his belt. I think.
Going strong, Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl, right?
Absolutely. How about $300 in bonus bets at FanDuel? This is the biggest bonus they've ever given out at FanDuel since they've been sponsoring our shows, and it's been a long time they've been sponsoring here at the Locked On Podcast Network. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. We're talking about quick, easy. It's the best way to add a little energy to your Sundays. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping your eye on your fantasy lineup. Tons of ways to play, tons of prop bets all week. All 17 weeks and 18 weeks of lines are all out there. So you can bet on any of your favorite team's 17 games on the schedule right now. The lines are up at FanDuel. Tons of prop bets. Bet on your team to win the Super Bowl. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's go to our good friend Joey Bag of Donuts, who's a frequent tweeter into the show, Matt. He says the first 4 weeks of the season, the real preseason, since starters don't play much during training camp. And my secondary part of this is how do we always talk about this too every year. It's like, it's a little bit awkward and ugly to start the year. How do we fix that?
I know.
It seems like teams should care more about how good their team is in week 1, because that counts just the same as week 18 does.
It's exactly what I was going to say. And I do think, we've mentioned it. I think we're going to go to 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games. I don't think that gets things any better. Maybe a week 1 loss doesn't hurt you as bad if there's 18 games as opposed to 17. The pie's a little small, If
you're not playing anybody in the 3 preseason games, then you're still not playing anybody in the first 2 preseason games. I guess that wouldn't change it all that much.
I know. So I do think it's a bit of a problem in that no one's going to complain about it this week because they're so excited. But if you compare it apples to apples versus week 13, it's probably a lesser product. I mean, I'm sure it is. And they do count the same, so they are super important. But also coaches operate often in like 4-game chunks. I need 4 games of tape to evaluate. Again, so many of these teams are facing, we talked about Patriots versus Raiders. Those 2 head coaches of history, but you don't really know what they're going to throw at you schematically and things like that, let alone first-time head coaches like with the Jets or whoever. So in a way, yes, I mean, in terms of gathering information for your opponents, acclimating everyone in terms of getting their body right to play full games, because no one should play every snap in the preseason. That's not the answer either. So in a way, Joey, you're right, but that doesn't make it right or smart. You know what I mean?
What gets everybody the most money is really what things are going to end up being. And is bad football for a week or two to start the year a problem for the NFL? Seems like it's not, and it doesn't seem like it's that big. Although it is.
Most fans don't know it's bad football, though. They're just excited that it's football.
And very often the teams seem like they're not super worried about it, except for you do like who was the Bengals this preseason? We're like, well,
they're the only ones that like change their tune.
We're going to play more because we sucked to start last year. We just can't do that
every year.
Yeah. But the Rams don't care.
They still don't care, right?
Yeah. So
they're probably looking at it like the other team's rusty too.
Yeah. What team in the league is most reliant on one player? Asks Mr. Controversy himself. Say the Bills, which is the first one that came to my mind as well. Is there any other team that would suffer more from one missing player like the Bills would suffer from missing Josh Allen? And he wants to know if he's crazy to say Kansas City.
I think it's definitely the Bills.
It's for sure the Bills, but every team with a good quarterback is one player away from, oh, this is how the rest of the league lives. I see.
Now, I think, and I don't think we have time, but what about non-quarterbacks? Like, maybe it's Parsons. I mean, like the Steelers.
Well, yeah, you're going to find out for the Cowboys right now, because I would say Garrett, Parsons would be the first two names. Like, and that defense is the thing that might keep the Cleveland Browns afloat. What if there's no Myles Garrett on that team this year, or if he gets hurt? Like, you already picked him to be the number one pick in the draft. Now they haven't been that or they weren't that last year, right? Even if things went really haywire on them, they're close, but they weren't the worst team in the NFL.
I don't have them handy, but like all the Steelers numbers without Watt are night and day different with Watt. All their defensive numbers, even like their winning percentage, they're like 1-11 when he doesn't play. You know, like it's crazy. I mean, so we could probably come up with a ton of them. Justin Jefferson, Trent Williams, you know,
I'd probably
there's a lot.
I'd put Bosa over that for the 49ers because you look at what they look like before they drafted Bosa. They were the second worst team in football. They had the number 2 pick in the draft. They drafted Bosa. They went to the Super Bowl. Now, it was more than one player, but
of course,
if it's not quarterback, it's that stud defensive line.
I would say maybe the edge rushers are making a real strong case.
Which is why people said I made too big of a deal about the Parsons trade. I don't think it is. And we'll find out for the Cowboys and the Packers and how their fates change. But there's some pretty important ones. But Josh Allen is by far the number one.
By far.
We've seen the Andy Reid Kansas City Chiefs make the playoffs with Alex Smith. So I would put them even further down. Although I think you lose Mahomes, you lose Burrow, Burrow's another one.
Burrow's pretty high on the list too, considering the state of the defense. Yeah.
And like Lamar Jackson, like, of course you would suffer big time.
This sounds rough because I'm a Steeler guy, but if Burrow got hurt today in practice and missed the whole year, they might be in first overall contention. It might be Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck situation. You know what I mean? Probably not that extreme, but they have had success with backups for real short terms, though.
I'm blanking on who the backup quarterback is.
I forgot his name too, but they did do a good job of changing the offense around him. He played like 4 games and they were okay. But still, the way they're designed, it's not like, okay, we'll just run the ball and play defense.
Right. Yeah. It's a high wire act for sure.
Right. No question about it. I'm actually pulling it up because it's bugging me. Jake Browning.
Was it?
Jake Browning.
Browning. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They did an all right job.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if he can do it for 17 games, but you know.
Right. And we've seen Dallas. Dak went down. Cooper Rush looked okay, and they did an all right job. And again, I think it'll be hard. Like for the Cowboys, I think it's harder for them to replace the impact Micah Parsons brings than Dak.
Agreed.
So there you go. And so we'll find out if the answer to the question is Micah Parsons in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree. The answer is Allen, but I think that there's some non-quarterbacks that make a real strong case.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're almost all edge guys. You're right.
Especially because when you look at the Buffalo Bills, like, what do they hang their hat on if there's no Josh Allen?
That's the thing, right? Their roster's not that great.
It's not that great.
Right.
Not a defensive powerhouse, but they're solid on defense.
Baltimore could win the division without Lamar, and he's as good as Allen, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd put them way down the list compared to Allen, Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good question for you before we leave. would the Baltimore Ravens win more games without Lamar Jackson than the Cowboys will win without Micah Parsons?
Yeah. But both at full speed, they would win a lot more games too.
Right. Yes.
But yes, I think a Lamar-less, I think they'd be 10-7 without Lamar. And that's not a knock on him at all. If you put Lamar in Buffalo and Allen in Baltimore, I'd say the same thing. They're just
about
constructed differently. Yeah.
Team around it.
Yeah, and they get Henry and they run the ball and they play defense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Let us know what you think. Get your questions in for next week's mailbag at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Drop a question or a comment on YouTube and subscribe while you are there. And we are here. We'll be breaking down NFL football on tomorrow's show, making picks for the rest of the games as well. So stay tuned right here, Peacock and Williamson.